What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the College Sports Connection podcast, where Double A, Alex, and AJ host the Mid-American Conference best.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the College Sports Connection podcast. I'm your host, Alex the Captain. Joining me, as always, AJ the Guru.
What's going on, everybody?
AJ, welcome back. We are on our second week of Mac Media Day interviews, and I'm really excited about these three that we've got coming up tonight. We've got Coach Tom Arth from Akron, Coach Thomas Hammock from Northern Illinois, and Coach Jason Candle from the University of Toledo. Really great conversations with all three of these coaches.
Yeah, we really did. And, Coach Arth, it was so unexpected, too. We've just gotten set up, and the SID came up to us and goes, "Hey, our media's done. Would you like to talk to our coach?" We go, "Absolutely." And it turns out he backed up Peyton Manning back the day down in Indianapolis. So that was a lot of fun to talk about. Coach Hammock, too, I want to get to know this guy a little bit more.
Sure.
He has stories. He actually played. He was a running back at Northern Illinois back in the early 2000s. He's coached in the NFL, coached all over college. Incredible personality. It'd be so fun to sit down and just crush some wings and some beer with sometime. So maybe we can make that happen up there.
Something tells me he'd beat us in a wing eating contest. I have
too.
a sneaking suspicion.
And our listeners will realize that there at the end of our interview with him, I asked him a question and he referenced wings. We'll put it that way. And so we'll let you guys listen to that. And Coach Candle was a lot of fun to talk to. We talked about Mount Union. We talked about Toledo. We talked about the off season, the going into this season. So it was a lot of fun talking to him. All business. Yeah, he's a football guy.
Very much so. Very much so. All of those great interviews. Really excited to bring them to you guys this week. Hope you enjoy, and looking forward to next week as well, where we have Coach Mike New and quarterback for the defending MAC champs, Drew Plitt. And we'll get to those next week. But this week we've got Coach Tom Arth, Coach Thomas Hammock, and Coach Jason Candle. Guys, we are here with Coach Tom Arth. This is his third season at Akron. Coach, we are excited to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to be here with you guys.
It's nice doing this in person this year, isn't it?
It is. It's good to see everybody, and I think it's just such a great experience for the student athletes to be able to be a part of a day like today, and be in front of media and just meet other coaches, other athletic directors. I think it's really special, for those guys.
Sure. Now, how difficult was it last year doing everything virtual, doing a complete 180, really?
Yeah, it was new, it was different, but I think we all learned a lot going through it, and I think we all found more ways of reaching our players. I mean, shoot, I was at a baseball tournament with my son, with my family. My 13-year-old was playing in Baltimore last week, and we needed to do a team meeting. We're driving back from the baseball tournament, and we're having a team meeting, and I'm on the deal. So it's just like things like that like I never would have thought about. We certainly learned, but I think much more than that, that this past year has really been a great time for the players in our program to develop. Although we only were able to play 6 games last season, those 6 games were really critical for us. We're so young, and to be able to get those guys out there and competing and playing against great teams is only going to make them better. So we've been really excited about all of it, and now we've gone through the full winter, the full spring, full summer, heading into what we hope is a typical training camp and typical season. It's really important for our development.
Sure. I wanted to talk to you about the youth that you mentioned. Zach Gibson, redshirt freshman, gets 6 games last year, and now he's coming in projected starter. What's that? How much are you relying on him having that experience to help these other young guys kind of grow and change and get ready for college football?
You know, it's crazy because, and we're not unique in this, but Zach is a great example. Our left tackle, Xavier Gray, you know, both Zach and X played in 4 games as true freshmen, preserved their redshirt year, started all 6 last season, so they have 10 games experience, 10 starts under their belt, and they still have 4 years to play. I mean, it's just wild. And there's multiple guys, you know, like that on our roster. And you know, I think for those guys that have that, I mean, it's an incredible blessing, and you got to take advantage of it. You know, take advantage of it in the classroom. Probably going to graduate with a master's degree. You know, walk out with a master's degree and opportunity to play, you know, 6 years of football. I mean, it's you know, pretty remarkable.
You talked about going through the winter training and stuff like that. How important is your strength and conditioning staff been this offseason, prepping for a full 12-game season instead of 6?
Yeah, you know, it's been critical. That's been an area where our program has really taken a lot of strides, and where our team has really developed significantly is in strength conditioning. Our strength coach, Deontay Mack, does an incredible job with our team, and you know, the mental toughness, you know, just our physical stature, our strength, our speed, our explosiveness, our power, you know, all those things have really dramatically improved. But you know, it will feel different, I think, even for the coaches. You know, and it's what we're typically accustomed to, right? But you know, you go on that, you know, 6 weeks of going, and all of a sudden we're going to get to week 6, and you know, we're hopefully not even halfway, you know, through the season. Got a long way to go. So I think it helps to have, you know, guys that, even though we're a younger team, we have guys that have played a lot of football games, and I think they'll, you know, I think they'll be ready for that challenge.
Could you say that it's a benefit to have a younger team, especially coming up the season last year, because they don't know much more, they don't know any different, so you kind of, you know, work them into how Akron does things, and so, you know, they have a young team, you can mold them the way you want to.
Yeah, you know, yeah, definitely. I think, you know, just coming in, you know, we came in 2019, you know, kind of heading into that, you know, postseason of 2019, early 2020. You know, we really, you know, were young, and we had a lot of players that were playing before their time, and just, you know, taking some lumps, but gaining great experience and really like hardening themselves, you know, mentally, emotionally, physically. And I think now those same guys, you know, this is their time. This is the time where, hey, they should be out there. They should be competing. And the great benefit they have is they have all that experience to draw back on, you know, and help them perform at an even higher level.
You guys kick off the season at Auburn. How special is that for your players to get to play a premier SEC team right off the bat?
Yeah, you know, it's exciting. You know, I think those games, you know, I think those are always games that the players highlight, you know, on the schedule, and really look forward to that opportunity to showcase their talent against the best programs, best players in the country. And as coaches, you know, I think we feel the same way. You know, that's an opportunity where, okay, you know, we have 11 guys out there, they have 11 guys out there. You know, we're not being truthful if we say, hey, across the board, you know, we're gonna win every single one of these one-on-one matchups. But as a coach, what we try to look at is, what are the matchups we can win? How can we create those matchups that can be favorable? And how do we put our team in position to be successful playing and play out, and give them a plan that they can go into with confidence and say, we're not just going down here for the experience. Like, we're going down here to play really well, to perform, and to, you know, put a lot of pressure on this team. And, you know, who knows, right? Who knows, right? Keep it tight in the fourth quarter, and, you know, and anything can happen. And
I've seen it before. MAC schools are very good at doing that.
that's right.
They're very good at it.
That's right. And what that can mean for your program and for your players, I think is pretty special. So we're excited. We're excited. We got a lot of guys from the South. You know, we have a number of Georgia guys and few from Florida. So they've grown up with SEC football. So playing at Auburn's a big deal. And certainly the rest of our roster, you know, a lot of Ohio guys. So get a chance to go play at Ohio State, be a big deal for those guys.
I was actually going to ask the commission about that later on. The growth and the expansion of the conference, becoming from a Midwest, you know, brand to more of a nationally recognized brand now. You've seen recruiting going down to Florida, Georgia, and things like that. How fast has that expansion been in your time? We've seen it as recruiting. You go down to Georgia, and somebody knows who Akron is, being LeBron's hometown.
That's right. Well, and the LeBron deal helps now. It really does. I think, that's one thing that we really try to focus on our region. We really try to focus on the state of Ohio, Northeast Ohio in particular, and the Western Pennsylvania, the Detroit area. We have great relationships in Georgia. There's great high school programs, in Georgia that we got to know very well when I was, the head coach at Chattanooga. We have a number, of players, from Florida on our team as well. So I think, the fact that we play on national television, with Maction, every year, we get games on TV every night. I think it is a national brand, and people know MAC football, and people look forward to watching those games. And, I think that certainly helps recruit a much broader range of student athletes from all over the country, because they know about us, and their parents can watch us play. And, and I think it's fantastic.
I mean, there's nothing better than a cold October, November night, prime time on ESPN.
Yeah, Tuesday night.
Sure. So we were both students in Action, so we were skipping classes and getting ready for those games. And
You never did that. They were at night. There were no classes at night. You were fine.
exactly.
Yeah, you might have had to wake up early and do a little extra homework in the morning, but
I did want to ask, you backed up Peyton Manning. Got any cool Peyton Manning stories for us?
yeah. I mean, well, shoot, there's so many. I mean, it was such an incredible experience for me. Really humbling experience to learn from him and to be a part of that. And kind of watch his career unfold. And we were joking this morning. Someone asked if we had if I'd ever played in this stadium, and we played on Thanksgiving. I think it was 2004. Peyton threw like 7 touchdowns in the first half. It was unbelievable. But I certainly wouldn't be sitting in this seat if it wasn't for my experience with the Colts and having the opportunity to learn from Peyton and really all of those coaches. Would not be where I am today. So it was I'm very grateful for that.
So all that note taking, you may have hated it then, but now it's kind of paying off.
You know what? I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I mean, everything, writing everything down Peyton did. I wish I knew I wanted to coach back then.
Sure.
I really didn't. All I thought about was playing, and I wish I would have had a different perspective at like studying like Coach Dungy and Tom Moore and Howard Mudd, Jim Caldwell, these incredible coaches that we had in Indianapolis. But I was trying to absorb everything I could from Peyton. It was a lot. You had to write fast.
How does that transition work from playing to coaching? Because you see it so often. It's got to be a hard transition because you obviously love the game, you love being behind center, holding the clipboard and the headset. It's probably an entirely different mindset and kind of focus, I would guess.
Yeah, it didn't happen right away for me. As I said, all I thought about since I can remember is playing. And when that opportunity ended for me, we didn't really know what to do. I ended up going to work for a company in Cleveland, sales, marketing, type of position, consumer products company, which was an incredible experience for me. Probably prepared me as much to be a head coach as anything else in my life. Just the leaders that I had the opportunity to be around. But it was about a year into that company before my head coach at John Carroll called me and offered me an assistant position coaching the quarterbacks. And this is where I kind of thought about it. And it's like, football's been such an important part of my life. I miss it. Like, I want to get back into football. And, I made that decision. And it didn't take long to realize that it was a great decision, one of the best decisions I've ever made. But also realize that what I loved about it wasn't necessarily the football. It was the opportunity that I had to impact the young men's lives in our program. And I recognized that really early. And I think that, that was a pretty powerful experience for me because I went back because I love ball, right? And I want to be involved and I want to compete and all those things. But after that first year of coaching and seeing the difference that we were able to make and the impact we were able to make on the young men's lives, that really changes you, I think, and really, changes your perspective and your philosophy on why you do it, and how you build your program. So it's it's been a really incredible and rewarding profession for me, and very grateful to have the opportunity that I have.
And to get, John Carroll's no slouch of a program either.
No.
They've been nationally recognized for years. That whole area, Mount Union, Baldwin Wallace, John Carroll, all those schools have always been consistent and good in their conferences.
Yeah, no, it's a special brand of football. Certainly in the Ohio Athletic Conference, but John Carroll, in particular, I'm very proud of where I come from, and sort of the footprint that John Carroll has on the game of football is really second to none. And
Quite a few records down there too.
Absolutely, and just some unbelievable people that have graduated from that university and the football program, and I feel a great responsibility to live up to all those guys and to continue to carry on that tradition. So we're really proud of that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Coach, I really don't have anything else. Thank you so much
Yes.
for taking your time. We appreciate it. Great opportunity to get to learn about you, and look forward to seeing what Akron does this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I've enjoyed being on with you guys. Thanks for having me. Okay.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the College Sports Connection podcast. Today we are joined by Coach Thomas Hammock. This is his third season at Northern Illinois. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
How's it feel to be back? We are in front of people now. We're getting ready for a season in front of fans. We thought this day would never come.
It's starting to feel back to normal, and I think that's important to get back to what people are familiar with, especially for college student athletes. They were hurt the most. The uncertainty, all the misinformation, everything that happened last year. And so for them to see the smiles on their faces about, hey, I can go work out, I can do the things that I've been doing my whole life. It's been good. It's been good for them, and I think it's been good for our program.
Sure. How important has it been for you, your staff, and especially getting back to normal? Because you talked about, it's that sense of normalcy, for especially guys who are not from Northern Illinois, not from Midwest, California, Florida. That's their normal. Now it was a new normal last year, especially freshmen.
Yeah, I think anybody that's played college sports understand that you appreciate the game so much more when you can go through an off season, when you can go through the things that it takes, the sacrifices that you make to make yourself a good player, and some of those things were missed last year or taken for granted. Sure. And obviously, we don't want to take things for granted. We don't want to take life for granted. We don't want to take football for granted. And I think, for the young men in our program, they understand that. There's a realization that, I need to be a lot more serious in things that I do on a day-to-day basis, and be a lot more intentional with some of the things that I do.
Sure. You talked about your off-season workouts here. How important has your off-season your strength staff been here this year, because you are prepping for a full 12, 13 game season instead of 6?
Yeah, I think your strength staff is one of the most important parts of your organization, right? They are around the kids all the time in the summer. There's a lot of free time in the summer, so you got to keep them engaged. You got to keep them wanting more. And so for us, being a young football team last year, I know we're still young on paper this year, but we went through some growing pains, but we gained valuable game experience, and guys can lean on that game experience in your off season, when it becomes tough. Well, think about, if I would have made a play against Western Michigan, or I made a play against Ball State, this is what those moments are meant for. And so, for us, they are leaning on what happened last year. They're growing from it, and we become a much more mature football team.
Sure.
I was going to ask you about that. You've got a lot of young guys, a lot of freshmen and sophomores on your roster. Guys who even played last year getting a free year with COVID. How valuable is that experience for them to still get 4 years of eligibility going forward for building the program?
No, it's very valuable, and it's valuable from a coaching perspective as well. We love the depth of our team, and you see all these preseason publications. In 6 weeks, what are they going to matter if people lose a receiver, a quarterback, a running back, a lineman? You have to have depth. So everybody's going to have to deal with a non-conference schedule.
Sure.
And once you get through that, then you reassess and see, okay, where we're at, where do we need to go? And so we have depth, 1 through, whatever number it is. We have depth, and we have talent, and we have experience, and we have competitive people in the program. And I think those things allow you to have a chance to be very, very competitive in this conference.
Sure. I was able to experience it a couple of years ago. It'd been 2013. Ball State traveled to Northern Illinois. Jordan Lynch, Keith Wenning, primetime Wednesday night. And that was the first time I'd ever been to NIU. And what a fantastic facility to watch a primetime game on Wednesday night.
Our facilities are top notch. They, much different than when I played.
Sure.
So the term the hard way got coined for a reason, right? When it got windy, when it got cold, when it got snowy, when it got wet, we was outside practicing. And so, you're trying to make sure you keep that fabric of the hard way ingrained with nice facilities, which is a challenge because, the young men in the program don't know what it was like, 15 years ago when we were trying to establish who we are and what we're about. So, we try to make sure we do a great job educating our players. We got a couple former players on my staff, and, we make sure every year we educate them on, what the hard way really means.
Now, do you still jump when the cannon goes off? That scared me.
You know what? They stopped the cannon. I think too many noise ordinances. From people nearby. So, but I do remember the cannon, and it was very, very loud.
Because they didn't warn us about that.
No, they just shoot it.
They shot that thing.
Yeah.
We all jumped. Like, what was that?
Yeah. When I came back, I asked, "Where's the cannon?" Nobody had a very good answer for me. So hopefully we can bring that back at some point in time.
Right.
I was going to say, so you've spent time at Northern Illinois as a player, as a running back, and then you kind of had a coaching tree that took you back to Northern Illinois, then to Minnesota, then to Baltimore. Now you're back as the head coach. How invaluable were those experiences at those other places, both at the college and the professional level, to kind of set you up to being a head coach?
Every move that I made along my career, I needed. When I was in college as a young coach and coming up, you don't know any better. You're just working hard and trying to make it work. And then to have the opportunity to go to the National Football League and see a different way to coach players and still get the most out of them, because those are grown men. They have families. They have responsibilities. And so, every move that I made, I've learned from, I grew from. And it was invaluable for me to have all these different experiences, because a lot of times when I'm talking to my coaches or my assistant coaches, they haven't seen some of the situations that's come up. So I can lean back on some of those experiences when things come up, and the best way to navigate and manage it and handle it to the best of our abilities.
Let's talk about your non-conference schedule this year. The MAC is always known for playing big Power 5 programs early on in the year, and there's always bound to be an upset or two. How do you, when you going into that, how do you coach that?
Yeah, for us, we want to play our best football, and that means not having silly penalties, not turning the ball over, not missing a whole bunch of tackles, playing great special teams. We want to play clean football. And if you play clean football and somebody is better than you, you can accept that. But if you don't play clean football and somebody beats you, that's a tough pill to swallow. I think our kids will be hungry. They'll be excited. Last year, everybody missed a non-conference schedule. And that helps build your team. That helps build the excitement. These guys want to go play at Michigan in front of 100,000 fans and experience that. Those are the memories that you remember when you become, 40 years old. You remember those big non-conference games. We played Iowa when I was a freshman. I dropped a pass in the fourth quarter. You remember those moments, and it helps shape and mold who you are as a person.
I was just going to ask when you played which Power 5 schools, which one you played at, but yeah, Iowa was one of them.
Auburn. We played Auburn when they had Rudy Johnson.
Okay.
And I remember thinking to myself, if I can outperform Rudy Johnson, we can have a chance. That didn't happen. Rudy Johnson was a fourth-round draft pick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just driving through, and all the fans, they thought they was flicking us the bird, but really they were saying, you guys are number one.
Course,
just with the wrong finger.
The one finger salute.
Right? Yes, and appreciated all the pageantry that makes college football what it is.
Sure. And that's something too. I think in the MAC can appreciate more than a lot of conferences. The passion. As a player, as a coach like yourself, you've been able to see it from both perspectives. Where is that passion level not only just at NIU but in the conference as a whole?
Yeah, obviously, as a conference, we want to, go prove ourselves, right? A lot of kids that we recruited wasn't, probably looked at by some of the bigger programs, and we feel like we can help develop and mold them, and I think that's happened for a long time. There's been a lot of great players come through this conference. Now what they have to buy into is when you come to a MAC program, stay there. Why become a great player somewhere else? Stay great at where you are. And I think that's the biggest selling point that, can you imagine if the transfer portal was around when Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback, or Michael Turner or Garrett Wolf or any other great player? I laugh with some of the great players that I had a chance to coach. If they had the easy way out, would they have taken it? Sure. And sometimes when you stick it through and you persevere, that's what makes you great, and that's what's being missed.
Sure, we were actually talking about Garrett Wolf the other day and how electric of a player he was. I remember him running all over Ohio State.
Yeah, are you from Ball State?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a game of 365 yards or so, and he had about 4 long runs called back. Yeah. So that could have been a 500-yard game. Yeah, and I was coaching at NIU at the time, and he was a phenomenal competitor, a phenomenal athlete, great vision, one of my all-time favorites.
Was that the same year they went to Ohio State too?
That was either we went to Michigan or Ohio State. That was the same year because he opened up with 285 yards all purpose against Ohio State, and then had 365 yards rushing against Ball State. Yeah. He for the first 6 games of the year, he was lights. I thought he was going to run for 3,000 yards. He only ran for 19. He only ran for 1,900, but he still led the country in rushing.
He did. And I asked Coach New this earlier because he was in the same boat as you. Is the recruiting pitch still the same now as what it was when you were, being a player, being recruited? Are you telling the coach or the families and the players the same thing you were told?
You know what? I think, the recruiting pitch is a little bit different, right? For us, we are a developmental program. So, we're gonna look for some qualities that you can coach. We want long and athletic. But, we may take some undersized guys that can develop in our program. And we got some great examples of guys that came in a certain weight, and they are at a tremendous, increase since they've been in our program. So for us, we want to keep betting on guys that can develop. Sure. And we're not going to, academics are a big part of the puzzle. You don't want to be chasing guys around to go to class. And I think the less we can do that, the more we can focus on making them as good of a players as they can be.
Sure. So I wanted to ask, what is something, like, for you, being a former player, what does that mean for you to come back and be the head coach of your alma mater?
I'm invested. I'm invested in the program, and I'm invested for the long haul. When you're in the National Football League, you have the best of everything, right? You have the best players, you have the best facilities, you have the best travel, you have the best of anything that you can imagine. It's the best. But there's something about the MAC that I always appreciated, and more specifically, something about NIU that I just embrace. I was formed and shaped as a man in this program, and I want to have the opportunity to do that for a lot of young men in our program.
It was probably pretty nice too because you already had the wardrobe, so it's like you didn't have to go out and get new stuff. You already had the NIU swag ready to go.
Yeah, no, I had to get some new stuff. I was a lot smaller back then, but the colors remained the same.
There you go. That's what matters.
Exactly. No doubt.
And one thing I wanted to ask too, the new name, image, and likeness. When you're playing, is there a product that you would have liked to endorse back when you were playing?
Good question. I think, Buffalo Wild Wings.
B-dubs.
B-dubs. If I could have got some free Tuesday wings, that would have been pretty good.
There you go.
As a college student. As a college student.
Absolutely. I love that. I was thinking that like a deep dish or something like that. That would be a bad idea.
Giordano's.
That'd be dangerous.
I need to drive out to Chicago just to visit you.
I might. They may have to start a coach's NIL.
Kidding. There we go.
I can sponsor some places now.
Absolutely. You're well known.
Yeah.
You and Patty Fitzgerald.
No question.
Run that town.
No question.
That's awesome.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know AJ does.
Yes.
We're looking forward to seeing what you guys do on the field this year. We're planning on trying to make it out there, check out the facility, and come cheer you guys on. So
appreciate
thank you so much.
Go Huskies.
Go Huskies. right, everybody, welcome back to the College Sports Connection podcast. We are here with head coach Jason Candle of the Toledo Rockets. This is his 6th season at the helm for the Toledo Rockets. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate you guys having me here.
Absolutely. Talk about the team a little bit. You got a lot of experience coming into this football season. The big question that is kind of on everybody's mind, who's going to be playing at quarterback? Mm-hmm. You've got DeQuan Finn and you've got Carter Bradley are kind of the guys that people are talking about. Are we going to see any kind of like split multiple QB looks similar to that of the Terrence Owens, Austin Danton kind of looks that we saw?
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up and that comparison up. I think that we don't want to put two offenses in. We want to, obviously establish what we know and have been accustomed to. But we're always going to build it around the players first, and then figure out from there what formations to put our guys into to be successful, and then from there develop the plays that we want to run. So, I think it'll be one guy. Obviously, it'll be the guy that continuously will lead us in tough moments. We got to do a great job as coaching staff to put them in tough moments through preseason camp. I think preseason camp is one of the evaluation phases. It's not the only one. It's just one of 4 or 5. The other ones are already in the rearview mirror. So we'll see. We'll look out the windshield here and we'll see what preseason camp brings us, and hopefully one guy will separate themselves.
Sure. Talking about preseason camp and the prep going into that, how important was your strength staff and your conditioning staff this year prepping for a full season instead of the 6
Yeah, well, I think you know the answer to that, or you wouldn't ask the question. I think those guys, Brad Bichet and Christian Clinic and that crew, that whole staff has done a great job of, you hand those guys the keys to the car in the offseason and the summer. They give it back to you to start preseason practice and see what get under the hood of that car, see what's going on, see if that thing will really run.
Sure.
But, all signs to this point in time, look like it's a great return. I think our team's stronger, it's faster, it's as it should be though, because we've had more time with them, and you're not trying to send guys to Planet Fitness to get a workout in and last like we were last June and just crazy stuff like that. So, a little bit of normalcy back, and excited about what it looks like.
Is that how things were last year, trying to get guys to different gyms and off-season workouts?
Well, you couldn't bring them back, you couldn't put them in dorms, couldn't put them on campus
That's
to a certain point in time. So you're trying to find every opportunity you can. And then once health clubs and gyms and stuff opened up throughout our state, we were still a little bit behind that schedule on bringing guys back to campus. So, guys had to be creative. And I think, I always say that last year was the year of will over resources, because all these facilities and all these great, $1 million weight rooms and all these things that people put all these endless amount of money into didn't matter. You couldn't use them.
No.
So, kind of old school throwback, talking about the D3 approach, whether you're a polar bear or a purple raider, it doesn't matter. I mean, you had to go figure it out back then and work. And I think that's, I think you find out a lot about your team.
Sure, you'd grind it out.
That's
and
right.
In that process, did you find your guys, you found the strong ones, you found the guys that needed to be picked up a little bit. Does it separate the wheat from the chaff, I guess?
It does, but I also think too, though, you can't discredit a young player that's come in and has never had the opportunity to train and be exposed to some of the things that a Division I college athlete is exposed to. You can't hold that against them. Sure. You got a junior or senior or upper class guy that didn't do his work, then then maybe now you can feel some type of way. But
sure.
I think it definitely separated your team in a lot of different ways, and it was kind of cool to see.
Sure.
So the transfer portal was pretty kind to Toledo in the offseason. A lot of guys coming from Power 5 schools. Talk about the impact that they're going to have on the program, even if they can't play immediately, the experience that they bring from those schools.
Well, I think the transfer portal for us is it's another way to supplement our roster. It's not the lifeblood of our program. It never will be. And I think if you get to a point in time that if that's the only thing you're relying on, I think your program is probably in trouble, and you're going to come off a little bit desperate, and you're probably going to feel a little bit desperate in your approach on how to build a team. I think that's a slippery slope. So, we brought some guys in from big programs, like you said. We brought some guys in at key positions, but I also think that, we did it in a unique way that those guys don't have to come in and be the savior at that position. If they can provide an extra step and take that group one level up, then that's a win for us. If not, then that's okay too. We're not counting on any of those guys our season's not hinging on their success, put it that way.
How important is it to have guys who've made it to the league, like Gradkowski and Hunt, coming out of Toledo? How important that is it for you when you're building your program to reference those guys, or maybe calling those guys to help
Yeah,
with
we've been
Notre
blessed to
Dame.
have great players that come through Toledo, but Toledo's been playing winning football and great football for decades. And, we've had recent success, and we've had great guys go along. We've had 6 guys drafted out of here in the last 4 years and, some tremendous players and tremendous guys. But a lot of ways, those guys are self-made guys. I think it's a good thing to put in front of people in a recruiting process because it proves and, shows that it can be done from this place. But it also then gives you the blueprint for a young football player like, hey, this is what it takes to be Deontay Johnson. Hey, this is what it takes to be Trayvon Hester or Kadar Hallman or Mike Roberts or Logan Woodside. Like, it's not easy. You have to have a unparalleled work ethic. You have to be ultra talented. And then, the key thing there is you got to get lucky too.
Sure.
You got to catch some breaks. So, I think it's definitely it's definitely better to have that luxury than not have that luxury,
Sure.
but I don't think it's the only thing.
No. Logan Woodside had a nice arm too.
Yeah, he
He
did.
was fun to
Yeah, he
watch.
did.
Yeah, he's a great player, great kid.
Notre Dame, that seems to be, I think, as a fan, that seems to be the big game that everybody has highlighted on the calendar. How critical is that for like you as a program in terms of getting that opportunity to play over in South Bend? How critical is that for your players to get that experience?
Well, you look at the history of our program. Toledo's always played a great schedule out of conference. Obviously our side of the conference and the Mid-American Conference is a grind. It's hard. It's anybody can beat you on any given night. But you want to be able to sell to your fan base and sell to your players the opportunity to play in these type of environments. My time in Toledo, we've played at the Swamp, we've played in Columbus, we've played, we're going to Notre Dame this year. We played, home and home with Missouri, home and home with the Miami Hurricanes. I mean, we played some big time environments, some big time games, and that's one thing our kids really look forward to. We've had some great wins in the history of our program here, whether it's winning at the Big House and beating Michigan in 2008, or as early as a couple years ago, winning BYU at home. So I mean, you get those type of games. Guys look forward to playing those type of games. We've had a historic run of being very competitive, and hopefully there's the same recipe for success here this year, because I think that's a tremendous opportunity for us on September 11th.
Are those games fun to prep for? Because it's going to be such a huge environment, such a nationally televised game. And going into that week, it's going to be fun. But I guess I don't know how to word it.
I get what you're going. I get there's a different level of excitement, and you almost sometimes it's the other way. You got to kind of harness that excitement and harness that energy, and you don't want guys to, if we kick off at 2:30 against Notre Dame, we need your energy at 2:30. We don't need your energy at 7 a.m. when you wake up that day. So there's a different set of challenges when it comes to that, but they all count as one. We play Norfolk State on September 4th.
Sure.
That win is going to count just as much as a Notre Dame would as well. So they'll count as one. You got to treat them the best you can, and but in the back of your mind, that Notre Dame deal is a little different.
Bowling Green, everybody knows, chief rivalry. Do you guys do anything special like during the rivalry week leading up to that? Is there anything different that you guys do as a team, like preparing for that, or is that just kind of a hey, next game up, but we know who it is kind of thing?
Well, I think that's one you always circle on your schedule. That game means so much to our community. It's 20 miles down the street. It means so much to Bowling Green as well. There's probably not an office building in the city of Toledo that you're not going to find a Bowling Green grad in or a Toledo grad in together. So there's a lot of banner and a lot of pageantry back and forth on what that game looks like and what it means, and it's one that's really important to the history of our program, and it is to them. So it naturally creates enough buzz that where you don't have to fabricate a bunch of stuff to motivate people and to motivate players, and you're thankful for that piece of it, but you better win that one.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
I started my undergrad at Ohio Northern, so a little bit of a rivalry there with Mount Union. I just want to know that connection. It seems like there's like a direct connection from Mount Union to Toledo. We've got Matt Campbell before you were there, and then now you're defensive coordinator, also from Mount Union. What's that draw from Mount to Toledo?
Well, I think anytime that you're in charge of any organization, you're always trying to find people that can align with the belief system that you have. You're always trying to find people that when you're I think there's a certain trust factor, I guess is what I'm getting at. And I think that you're always going to do your best to go across the country and interview the best candidates for every job. And but at the end of the day, they really have to align with you. They got to be, they got to kind of connect with you in a different way. And I think Matt and I have known each other since we were in middle school. Vince and I have, when I transferred to Mount Union, Vince was in his first year coaching there. And we coached together for 7 years. after I graduated together. So there's a level of familiarity there. There's a level of, I don't want to say comfort, but a level of respect and trust of how things are going to go. And and I think you always want to put guys in front of your players that can carry the message that you have, because it's a seamless transition, because it's there is that trust factor there.
Sure.
So how fun was it like being around the Stag Bowl back in the day?
That was cool. I mean, that's a great experience for a Division III athlete. You don't that level. You don't go to a hotel the night before the game. You don't get to spend a week anywhere. You get your turkey sandwich. You go play the game. You go out to lunch with your mom after the game, and then go have a couple beers with your buddies on a Saturday night, and then get up and go to practice on Sunday. That's Division III football.
That's awesome.
It was good. That's another checkpoint of. Hey, we've gotten back here. We've done it again. Think about being at a place where if you don't win the national championship, you almost look at yourself as a failure.
Right.
It's really a hard pill to swallow, man. Like that's a tough thing for those players, and it's still going on. It's still that way. It's amazing. It's one of the best stories in all the sport.
And that league has become so competitive over the last couple of years.
It has. It's
Wisconsin and Whitewater. I had friends who played at Wabash, so they made it through the tournament for a little while there, and the Little Giants, and so that just becomes so tough. But that's great too. That's on ESPN.
No doubt.
It's great. It could be nationally televised.
Yeah.
People know what it is.
Right. Yeah, it's great to have that exposure for those guys, and it's a unique thing. I mean, those kids, I imagine, are paying $40,000+ a year to go to school now, and to have a little bit of that reward and have that exposure and have that be their day. That's really cool.
And get that turkey sandwich.
That's right, baby.
The turkey sandwich.
Well,
cheese
Coach,
or no cheese.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And then my last question, I don't know if you had anything else, but my last question, what does it mean for you to be a coach at Toledo, knowing the history of success that has come through Toledo? What does it mean for you to be at the helm of that?
It's humbling. It is. Your name's mentioned with some of the with college football Hall of Famers. You're walking the same halls that Nick Saban and Gary Pinkel and Frank Lauterbur and Matt Campbell. I say that. He's a friend and a colleague, but what he's done at Iowa State's been unbelievable to this point in time. And you're mentioned with a lot of great people and a lot of great coaches, and then you look at the player from the player's standpoint of it. We mentioned a lot of the NFL guys that we've talked about, and that creates great tradition and great history. So anytime that you can be a part of that, and you're in a city of 290,000 people, that a great stadium and a great game day environment, they fill the place up, and they really care about what the product is on the field, whether it's good or bad. You're a fan. I love the Boston Red Sox. I get mad when they lose. I get really mad when they lose to the Yankees. I get really mad when we don't pitch well. So I get all of it. I understand, and I think it's something you embrace and something that you really look forward to, because that's a heck of a lot better than being at a place where nobody cared.
Sure. It was fun. We were in Toledo a couple of weeks ago, and we went to the front doors of the facility and checked it out a little bit. Some of the best uniforms in the MAC. They look incredible up there.
I'm biased. You can't ask my opinion
That's
on
true.
that.
That is true. They're so fun. They look great on a Wednesday night, prime time. They look incredible.
Well, we appreciate it. We'll do our best to eliminate that some of the best and make it the best.
The best.
But
there's
That's
no
what's
some
fun
for
about
me.
this.
It's all him.
Yeah.
Coach, thank you so much for taking your time out of your day. We really appreciate it. I'm excited to be back in the Glass Bowl. Looking forward to plenty of great victories for the Rockets this year, and looking forward to it.
I appreciate you guys. Go Rockets. Thanks again.
Coach, go Rockets. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
See you.